Namaskar. This is Shilpa Bhavna on behalf of Sustainability Reporting Standards Board, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. I extend my warm welcome to all of you in this talk series on ESG, Environmental Social Governance. And when we talk about ESG, it is never possible without the efforts put in by all. इसीलिए तो हम कहते हैं सतत विकास सबका प्रयास.
Companies now operate in a new world where embracing ESG is critical for their continued existence and acceptability in society. Recognizing the need, ICAI has constituted Sustainability Reporting Standards Board in February 2020, and the SRSB has been doing some pioneering work in this domain. This ESG talk show is yet another step in this direction, which brings together the ideas and vision of the industry leaders in the field of sustainability. With the help of all stakeholders, we will indeed be able to achieve Sabka Prayas, Satat Vikas.
Friends, there is an old saying that we never realize the worth of water until the well is dry. But do we actually need to wait until the well is dry? ये हमारी ही जिम्मेदारी है to take care of it. Friends, this climate is changing rapidly, and today we are going to have a substantial talk on this climate change and sustainability. For the same, I have all the honor to sit next to the gentleman who had been the Minister in Government of India and serving Member of Parliament. He is a chartered accountant. Let's get ready to meet and talk with CA Suresh Prabhu. Welcome, sir.
Namaskar. Thank you.
Firstly, I would like
I said it was stern warning, but
Yeah.
we never heard it. So that's why I was saying yesterday was the right day. If not, but now yesterday is gone, you cannot get it back. But at least we can keep the planet with us. If we don't
Yes.
now act today, the planet is also will become like yesterday. Then only the Beatles song we can sing. Yesterday was
There
such a
was a
beautiful
day, yeah.
So I think that I think Beatles also are gone, and yesterday also will go. And I'm sure planet, we should not allow it to go.
Exactly. हमारा जैसे ये ESG का शो है, we call it सतत विकास सबका प्रयास. So when we say that what is the effort of a chartered accountant, what we think that a chartered accountant's role has to play in this particular thing, because towards the sustainability, every effort has to come out. And what is the role of a chartered accountant to do it? Since you are yourself a chartered accountant, what would you suggest?
By definition, chartered accountants are auditors. So I think it's a time we do forensic audit of the planet. That what is really causing this problem. If you are actually doing forensic audit, you try to trace a transaction to its origin. So if you now trace the cause of the climate change today,
Ji.
then you will realize what has caused it. It's
Exactly.
a human action. So we discovered coal, which caused the industrial evolution.
Ji,
And the coal is now the cause of all the problem. So therefore, we have to change the energy mix. So what chartered accountant now should do is like what every other citizen should do, is to act on some of these known solutions. I don't think even we have to go for unknown solutions. What is known to us, act on it.
Yeah.
I think if you act on the known solutions, I think we'll be able to, if not reverse it, we might be able to address it. For example,
Yeah.
today's climate change, what is
Yeah.
today, is caused because of historical emissions. It is not caused because of future emissions.
Exactly.
So it is caused because of past emissions. And the past emissions are going to remain in this atmosphere for at least 50 years more, even if you take all necessary action today. Most of our terrestrial biodiversity, at least 90% of it, is now gone and probably will become extinct for good. Then we have marine biodiversity, which is under threat. You know, there is one report, very
Ji.
interesting report, which
Ji.
was presented to the G7 when I was handling G7 on behalf of the Prime Minister by the UK presidency. And they said, very interesting, that there might be more plastic in the ocean than than the fish in the ocean.
Oh God.
Now just imagine, fish is a source of livelihood for the fishermen. So I'm looking at it from a selfish perspective, humans alone. But of course, that's besides the point,
Yeah.
that if this is destroyed, marine biodiversity, then I think whole thing will go on. You know, the oceans are the carbon sinks of the world.
Ji.
So much of the carbon which goes into the atmosphere, again, nature has created a system. The forest are the carbon sinks, the oceans are the carbon sinks, so you can absorb it.
Yeah.
But now with the acidification of oceans, which is happening, so that is again going to be big problem, not just for the marine life, but for the whole thing. So you cannot imagine the unimaginable damage that has already been caused.
Yeah.
So as chartered accountant, we should try to warn those who are willing to listen. That's very important. Who are
Exactly.
listening, because we can keep speaking about it, but nobody is listening. So I think we will be gone, not with the wind, but with a blizzard that will hit us. So I think we should really wait for it immediately.
So, sir, you agree on that part that auditing, as it is an integral part of like any document's health. So, at the same time, you feel that auditing on the environmental social governance, this particular term is really very much essential when we talk about the betterment of this planet to live in, because auditing plays a very good part over there.
Most of the economic activity starts with some resources that is given to us by the nature. If you talk
Bilkul.
about mining, it's very clear. Then if you don't have mining, then based on that, all these speakers, all these, everything will not be available. Nature has provided all the resources which creates an economic activity. So that's why environment and that ESG is important. Then social. So what social means is people.
Yeah.
You need people for market. If any economic activity that you're doing in a company, if there are no buyer for it, can that economic activity survive?
Not at all.
And that market means people. If there is no, you cannot have marketplace without people.
Yes.
So people must be there. People must be there to run the business. People must be there to develop ideas. S is that social.
Yeah.
You cannot carry on economic activity indefinitely if you don't address the social challenges associated with the people. So that's why S. And then governance is very important, because governance means, in my opinion, governance is wisdom, actually speaking.
Ji.
You know, we always knew that we could manage everything if we manage it well. So what my grandmother knew
Ji.
was far better than what I know. Because my grandmother was not as educated as I am, but far more enlightened than what I am.
Exactly, the wisdom matters.
The
over
wisdom
there.
was there. So I think we should now, in this governance part, we should try to integrate the wisdom that humanity has accumulated over a period of time. So ESG is like the Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh of the planet.
Wow.
So if you don't use one, you will destroy. So S is exactly in between. That's Vishnu, which sustains it, because society will sustain it.
Ji.
And of course, Brahma is the creator.
Yeah.
So environment is the creator.
Exactly.
So that the entire thing that is E is Brahma. S which sustains us, society. Mahesh is the destroyer. That if you don't follow the proper governance model, proper wisdom, you will get destroyed. So I think ESG is Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh of the planet.
What a beautiful definition, sir. Wonderful. And it's actually true, my dear friends. You know, we need to understand that nature has like many resources to satisfy our needs. But for satisfying our greed, there is not much resource. So the moment we understand that we are a part of the nature, I think then we'll start working towards saving it. And sir, when we talk about the sustainability, in today's days, it's not just about doing less harm, it is about doing more good. So when we say that society as a whole and the government and the people who are together over there, they have to do their bit. So what would you like to suggest to them? What is the position of India on an international platform towards it? Because it is not just a national issue, it's a global issue that has to be addressed properly. So what do you see that?
Sustainability cannot be just a pretext for not doing something, but should be the cause for acting on some of the very urgent matters. So India is in a very unique situation. We are the victims of climate change and we are not a cause of it. But with the increasing population that we have, and now the world has already got 8 billion people and we are almost 17-18% of them, the problem is how do you protect these vulnerable people from the ill effects of climate change, whether it's water, agriculture, ocean level rising, fisheries, livelihoods. Himalaya is under threat. And then we have 7,600 kilometers of coastline, which again is going to be reacting to the climate change.
Sir, do you see India being a revolutionary towards this particular aspect for the world?
I led India's delegation for the climate change negotiation for the first time exactly 24 years ago in 1998.
Okay.
When there was COP, now the COP27 is going on. I was COP4 in Buenos Aires in Argentina. And I had raised the same issue, but every country can act in proportion to their capabilities. That's why actually if you look at the main convention on climate change, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, that is actually the mother umbrella of the TT, which gives rise to all the action, which talks about equitable response. So, in a sense, your capacity to do it. So my capacity is important. So India, with not even little more than $2,000 of per capita income, has a big challenging situation of dealing with climate change, which is going to have huge, enormous cost for adaptation, not for mitigation. Net zero is a mitigation issue. We need to work on adaptation.
The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India is a statutory body established by an Act of Parliament.
E, S and G are the three pillars that are creating a buzz today. I would like to add C as the fourth in this entire discussion. C stands for Chartered Accountants, and to my mind, CAs have a big role to play in the ESG domain. The ESG talk show of SRSB of ICAI will go a long way in creating awareness, suggesting concrete steps to address the challenges that our planet is facing, and formulating corporate strategy.
As a key professional body of the country, ICAI not only contributes to the economic empowerment of the country, but also adheres to environmental social governance.
ICAI has constituted the Sustainability Reporting Standards Board in February 2020. In a short span of time, Sustainability Reporting Standard Board is setting the global benchmark. It has come out with the first ever ESG assurance standard. It is doing the capacity building and creating awareness. The recently concluded 21st World Congress of Accountant was also the first ever carbon neutral World Congress of Accountant. There was more than 8,000 tons of carbon emission, which was fully offset by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. We really take pride in what we are doing.
Sustainability Reporting Standard Board of ICAI is building the capacity of members by making them ready for ESG reporting and assurance. It is playing a leading role at global forums.
So sir, do you see that this monitoring is very much important? So at the same time, when we are talking about the monitoring of the efforts that every person is putting in, so environmental social governance again plays a very vital part when we are monitoring the efforts which are being taken, and especially if I talk about the chartered accountants doing it, how about that?
So I think that's absolutely the essential part of the monitoring has to be there, and that is again become luckily part of the discussions, conversation, even in this global platform, including COP27, that how do you actually measure the performance of all the countries on an ongoing basis. That's very important. Chartered accountants can do that well. I'm very happy that my own alma mater, Chartered Account Institute, has taken the lead in dealing with ESG,
Yeah.
which in a way is a business opportunity for so many of the corporates. So on one hand, this will address socio-economic problems,
Ji.
but on the other hand, it will actually create a business opportunity for so many of the corporates who can actually restructure their businesses,
Yeah.
aligning with the global priorities, and therefore they can attack flows. In fact, one estimate says that maybe out of debt, but several $1 trillion of money will flow into ESG related activities
Ji.
over a period of time. So few $1 trillion. We are a $3 trillion economy right now, the whole total economy.
Yeah.
Just imagine we get several $1 trillion of investment into India because we are positioning ourselves as a ESG country. When we talk about ESG as a corporate entity, but can we not think about geography? If
Exactly.
you start working, and that brings the question of monitoring that you mentioned. Suppose Goa says that I want to be first, second, doesn't matter, but state in which we'll have only ESG compliant activities to be started in future. That means that monitoring part will automatically come in. The governance part is in the corporate, but just see that ESG, the G part, is done by the G, that is the other G, that is
other G.
government. So that ESG becomes G double G,
Yeah.
government and governance. It will be very helpful. So I think we should think about
Yeah.
little differently and try to work on, but it's a great opportunity
Ji.
also at the same time.
So, sir, when we are talking about ESG, and you clearly mentioned that chartered accountants have got a really good role to play over there, but they are also the ones who are working for the economic growth of the country as well. So, do you see that chartered accountants are very well equipped and capable of balancing the both, like creating the economy up and taking care of the sustainability as well, along with the climate change?
You are talking about economic activity means some sort of a prosperity. Prosperity means
More about money.
Yeah, more money. But where is money? So there is no, forget money, here our existence is gone.
Exactly.
And so we said, it's not money, my honey, we say like that. But even honey comes from nature, incidentally.
Exactly.
But I'm saying, so just imagine that the smell of the money will make only the body can take. If the body
Exactly.
doesn't survive, how can you have the money as a driving force? So I think this is no longer necessary to think about what comes first. Obviously, clearly, it's environment. As you mentioned it, very interesting part you mentioned. We should work on that.
And you thoroughly believe that that chartered accountant can play as a perfect bridge towards it?
No,
They
I'm
can?
100% convinced, being a chartered accountant myself, so I have handled actually in my own, see, I had 11 cabinet positions in my last 26 years. So one of that I was environment minister.
Yeah.
So I have seen environment. Then immediately after that, then Prime Minister Vajpayee gave me the most difficult ministry from environment perspective, chemicals and fertilizers.
Yeah.
So I dealt with all the issues, but
Yeah.
I think it is possible. For example, I was the Minister of Railways. So I said in railways, we started the first time in railways history, we started a sustainable environment directorate.
Okay.
And so therefore it is all possible. So I handle with most polluting ministries.
Ji.
I handle with most socially desirable ministry like environment and forest. And then I was a Minister of Commerce and Industry.
Ji.
Besides
Ji.
being a Minister of Industries in 1996. So I think industry is a cause of a problem, industry can be a solution. So
Exactly.
like chartered accountants, I'm being a chartered accountant myself, I think they can do this balancing act very well. They know where the justice should lie, social justice. So that's the S part of that.
S part.
So I think we should really work on that and try to take it forward.
So I can say that all other chartered accountants can look up to CS Suresh Prabhu because he has done it already.
No, don't look up to me. That's the wrong way of doing it. As our some of our very important philosophers have said, don't look up to anybody.
Yeah.
Look into yourself.
Wow.
I think that's the best way you can solve any problem.
That's so beautiful, sir. And sir, thank you so much for giving your such a wonderful time to us. But before we bid a goodbye to you, here is a special segment that I call Shilpa Bhavna Special. So that's a rapid fire and you have to play with me. So you are ready?
Sure, sure.
Achieving sustainability is a possibility? True or false?
True.
3 pillars of sustainability, what that would be?
ESG
Yeah.
should be the good 3 pillars. But normally you cannot make a building stand on 3 pillars. We need the 4th one. If we need the 4th one, then I think that can be self-belief to making it happen. That could really make it happen.
Exactly. So is achieving a net zero carbon economy is a reality or a dream?
See, it's a right now sort of a mission, and I think I hope we accomplish it. There's no other way we can do that. But that's only for mitigation. So we must do adaptation at the same time.
So that means we have to dream to achieve to that reality.
Exactly.
That's true. So, sir, 3 ways by which CAs can help battling climate change.
They should try to identify the global problems
Yeah.
and try to make a business case out of them, link them to the entrepreneurial community, and create that ecosystem which will finance it. So I think these are the 3 ways they can make it happen.
And so one thing that CA Suresh Prabhu is practicing every day to achieve sustainability.
You know, I don't know that, but I have to sustain myself to begin with. For me, if I have to sustain myself, then I must ensure that people around me are also sustained.
Wow.
You cannot make them sustain unless the broader environment in which we operate is sustained. That's the real sustainability. So I think for my self-survival, I must ensure that everybody else survives on the planet. That's the ecosystem actually.
Exactly. So, sir, जाते हुए आपसे मैं सिर्फ एक बात और पूछना चाहूँगी कि when we say कि सतत विकास सबका प्रयास, तो आपको लगता है कि सबके प्रयास के साथ हम लोग इस सतत विकास की तरफ बढ़ सकते हैं?
प्रयास के बिना तो कुछ भी नहीं मिलता है। और विकास जो है उसकी भी परिभाषा हमको सही माने में निकलनी होगी कि विकास ये हम पर्यावरण के साथ ही कर सकते हैं, इसके ऊपर ही हम प्रयास करें और इसके ऊपर ही हम विचार रखें, तो मुझे लगता है हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन। लेकिन एक दिन अभी नहीं है, एक पल बचा हुआ है, पल को ध्यान में रखते हुए हम काम करें।
Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. To attain the sustainability, it's always being said, reduce, reuse, and recycle. It's only after that we'll be able to make this planet a better place to live in. Rightly mentioned by CA Suresh Prabhu that we are already running late. So let's start acting right now. On behalf of Sustainability Reporting Standards Board, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, this is Shilpa. Dear friends, take care of yourself, take care of your surroundings, and take care of our planet. Jai Hind.